Hello guys! This is the first of a two-part video where I will discuss one of the most misunderstood Catholic teaching for non-Catholics, which is Purgatory. So, I'm Terence, a loving father to my two daughters, a loving husband to my wife. I'm proud to be Catholic, and this is Canada A. Ask any non-Catholic about purgatory, and the answer that you will hear from them is that it's not in the Bible. So wala daw yung purgatory sa Bible, so hindi daw ito biblical. Another answer also is sasabihin nila sa iyo na there is no such thing as a second chance, kaya hindi totoo yung purgatory. Ibasihan ba yung mga sinasabi nila? Tingnan natin. So in this video, before we dive into the teaching of purgatory, we will first understand how God created the heavens, the earth, and the abode of the dead, which in Greek is Hades and sheol in Hebrew. So, quick story lang guys. Bago ko sana gawin tong video na to, I was planning to make a video about the three parts of the Catholic Church. Pero one of those parts is purgatory. Pero naisip ko, if I will make that video without explaining purgatory first, baka malito lang kayo. So, kaya ito muna ang gagawin ko, ang purgatory. We will look into the Bible from the Old Testament to the New Testament about the creations of the heavens, the earth, and the abode of the dead. Kung ano nga ba ang tunay na aral Kristyanismo sa mga ito. So medyo mahaba-haba tong topic about purgatory, kaya ito munang first part ng video ang gagawin ko. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. From the Genesis account, we can read that God created the heavens and the earth. In Genesis 1:1, ito ang nakasulat. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So, heaven is the place where angels live, while earth is the place where humans live. So, from the Genesis account, we can establish the fact that God can create places. Number one is the physical realm, which is the earth. And then number two, and a place that is not here on earth, the spiritual realm, namely heaven. So from this fact is important because from the creations of the heavens and the earth, we can establish the fact that God can create places. This is important because non-Catholics think that it's impossible for God to create purgatory, but God can create purgatory and did create purgatory. Tuloy natin. So, noong nagkasala sina Adan at Eva, pumasok ang kamatayan sa mundo. Malinaw na mababasa yan sa Romans 5:12. Ito ang nakasulat. Therefore, as sin came into the world because through one man, and death through sin, and so death spread to all men because all men sin. Because of sin, mankind experienced death. Remember that heaven is the place where God and the angels live. While Eden, the paradise here on earth, is where man was supposed to live. Pero nung nagkasala ang mga unang tao, nakaranas na sila ng kamatayan, and they were banished from Eden. So nung nakaranas na sila ng kamatayan, pag namatay na sila, wala na sila sa mundo. At sa panahon ng lumang tipan, sarado ang langit sa mga tao. Malinaw na sinabi yan ni Jesus sa John 3:13. Ito ang nakasulat. No one has ascended into heaven but he who descended from heaven, the Son of Man. Sa statement na yan ni Jesus, malinaw na walang taong nakaakyat sa langit. Pero may exemption sa statement na yan. Kasi sa Old Testament, ating mababasa na sina Elijah and Enoch were taken up to heaven. In the Old Testament, no one has gone up to heaven except Elijah and Enoch. Bakit exempted sina Elijah and Enoch? Hindi natin alam. Diyos lang ang nakakaalam niyan. Pero as for us, we know that no man except Elijah and Enoch went to heaven. It was testified by Jesus when he preached here on earth. So balik tayo sa Old Testament. Yung mga Old Testament saints na namatay, hindi sila nakakit sa langit kasi nga sarado pa yung langit. Hindi rin naman sila pwedeng mamalagi sa mundo kasi patay na sila eh. So, saan sila mamalagi? Here, again, we see the power of God to create another place that is not heaven nor earth. And the place that He created is the abode of the dead. In Hebrew, it is called sheol. And in Greek, it's called Hades. There are many passages in the Old Testament talking about sheol, but hindi ko sila isasali dito sa video nito. I will not discuss them here, but always remember that when reading the Bible about sheol, you have to take into consideration the context on how they were used. Now, if Old Testament lang ang pagbabasihan natin, wala talagang nakakaalam kung ano ang meron sa sheol or kung ano ang nangyayari sa sheol. Kasi, when the Old Testament writings were written, the authors were still alive. Wala namang Old Testament saint na nabuhay muli from the dead para lang ikwento kung ano yung nangyayari sa sheol. Ito ang kailangan nating ma-realize. Any information from the Old Testament about sheol is not complete. Until God, through His Son, Jesus Christ, told us about sheol. What is sheol according to God? The truth about sheol has been revealed to us by God through Jesus when He told us the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. Maganda basahin muna natin yung parable of Lazarus and the rich man. So, ito ang ating mababasa. In Luke 16:19-31, this is what is written. There was a rich man who was clothed in purple and fine linen, and who feasted sumptuously every day. And at his gate lay a poor man named Lazarus, full of sores, who desired to be fed with what fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. The poor man died and was carried by the angels to Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. And in Hades, being in torment, he lifted up his eyes and saw Abraham far off and Lazarus in his bosom. And he called out, Father Abraham, have mercy upon me, and send Lazarus to dip the end of his fingers in water and cool my tongue, for I am in anguish in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, remember that you in your lifetime receive your good things, and Lazarus in like manner evil things. But now he is comforted here, and you are in anguish. And besides all this, between us and you a great chasm has been fixed, in order that those who would pass from here to you may not be able, and none may cross from there to us. And he said, Then I beg you, Father, to send him to my father's house, for I have 5 brothers, so that he may warn them, lest they also come into this place of torment. But Abraham said, They have Moses and the prophets, let them hear them. And he said, No, Father Abraham, but if someone goes to them from the dead, they will repent. He said to him, If they do not hear Moses and the prophets, neither will they be convinced if someone should rise from the dead. The story of Lazarus and the rich man is not real, but the setting is real. It's like reading a fictional novel that is based in the real world. For example, No Limit Tangere. Juan Crisostomo Ibarra is not real, but the setting in which the story took place, which is in the Philippines during the colonial time, that is real. So in the parable of Lazarus and the rich man, Jesus told us that in Sheol, now called Hades in Greek, has 2 sections. One section is the place of torment. Dito dinala yung mayaman. Ang tawag sa place of torment na to is Gehenna or Hell. And then there is another section. It's called the bosom of Abraham. Dito dinala si Lazarus. Dito rin dinala yung mga Old Testament saints na namatay. And in between of these 2 sections, may naghihiwalay sa dalawang section na ito. there is a great chasm. Ito yung naghihiwalay sa place of torment, which is hell, from the place of from the bosom of Abraham, which is kung nasaan yung mga Old Testament saints and si Lazarus. In Abraham's bosom, dito nagpunta si Jesus nung namatay siya. Nagpunta si Jesus dito at nangaral sa mga kaluluwa na nandito to bring to them the good news. This account of Jesus going to the place of the dead, to Abraham's bosom in Hades, was told to us by Saint Peter. In one of his letters, ito ang ating mababasa. In 1 Peter 3:18-19, ito ang nakasulat. For Christ also died for sins once for all, the righteous for the unrighteous, that he might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but made alive in the Spirit, in which he went and preached to the spirits in prison. So from 1 Peter 3:18-19, mababasa natin that Jesus went and preached to the spirits in prison. So, remember that in Hades there are two sections. The area where there's torment, which is called hell or Gehenna, and the area where all the Old Testament saints are staying, which is called Abraham's bosom. So when Jesus went to Hades, he preached the good news to the Old Testament saints that heaven will now be open. Hindi nangaral si Jesus sa mga kaluluwa na nandun sa area of torment, because there's no point preaching to them the gospel because pinaparusahan na sila. There's no salvation for them. Nangaral siya sa area kung nasaan yung mga Old Testament saints sa bosom of Abraham to bring to them the good news of the gospel and to tell them that he will soon be opening heaven para makakyat na sila. This preaching of Jesus to the dead was again recorded by Saint Peter in 1 Peter 4:6. In 1 Peter 4:6, ito ang ating mababasa. For this is why the gospel was preached even to the dead, that though judged in the flesh like men, they might live in the spirit like God. So reading those two passages from Saint Peter, it's clear that Jesus really went to Hades to bring the good news to the Old Testament saints. After Jesus went to Hades, specifically in Abraham's bosom, to bring the good news to the Old Testament saints, he took all the Old Testament saints to heaven. Mababasa ito sa Ephesians. In Ephesians 4:8-9, ito ang ating mababasa. Therefore it is said, when he ascended on high, he led a host of captives, and he gave gifts to men. In saying, he ascended, what does it mean but that he had also descended into the lower parts of the earth? So when Jesus descended into the lower parts of the earth, which is Hades, in Abraham's bosom, and brought the good news to them, he led a host of captives. Ito yung mga Old Testament saints. He led them when he ascended back to heaven. So sinama niya yung mga Old Testament saints na nasa lower part of the earth sa langit nung siya ay nag-ascend. This event of bringing the saints to heaven was also recorded by Saint Matthew. Sa event na nai-record ni Saint Matthew, take note na nangyari yung mga events na ito after Jesus' resurrection. So nangyari yung mga account nito pagkatapos ng resurrection ni Jesus. Kasi sa resurrection ni Jesus, dun siya nag-ascend sa langit eh. So eto, basahin natin yung nasa Matthews. Matthew 27:51-53. And behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two, from top to bottom, and the earth shook, and the rocks were split. The tombs also were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. And coming out of the tomb, after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many. When Jesus went back to heaven or the holy city, sinama niya yung mga Old Testament saints with him na nasa Hades. So ngayon, sa panahon natin, wala na yung Abraham's bosom kasi wala na yung mga Old Testament saints doon. Lahat ng namamatay ngayon na who found friendship in God, either they will go to Purgatory to be cleansed or they will go to heaven directly. So, Yung explanation kung didirekta ba sila sa heaven or dadaan muna sa purgatory, it will not be explained here. It will be explained in the second video. But for now, ang pinopoint out ko lang is, in Hades now, wala na yung Abraham's bosom because wala na yung purpose na yon, and ang natitira na lang now sa Hades is hell or Gehenna, the place of torment. Yun na lang ang nasa Hades ngayon. So now, in our time, Hades is more closely associated with hell, unlike during the biblical times when in Hades there are two areas, the place of torment, which is hell, and the place of the Old Testament saints, which is Abraham's bosom. So that's it for now. Wala pa tayo sa topic ng purgatory kasi nga medyo mahaba ang topic na ito. So for now, recap muna tayo ng mga napag-usapan natin. We know that God has the power to create places. He created heaven, the spiritual dwelling place of God and the angels, which was not open to men in the Old Testament. He also created earth, kung saan tayo nabubuhay, the dwelling place of humans. And when man sinned and experienced death, he created the abode of the dead, sheol in Hebrew and Hades in Greek. So, during the biblical times, Hades has two sections, the place of torment, hell or Gehenna, and the place of Abraham's bosom, which is kung saan namalagi yung mga Old Testament saints. And in between them, there is a great chasm in between them that separated those who are being tormented from those who have found friendship with God. And then, all the righteous people in the Old Testament who died stayed in Abraham's bosom until Jesus' resurrection. Because when Jesus died, nagpunta siya sa Hades in Abraham's bosom to bring the good news to them that he will lead them back to heaven when he will go back to heaven. So when Jesus ascended, nung umakyat na si Jesus, sinama niya lahat ng Old Testament saints na nasa Abraham's bosom sa langit. So now, in our time, wala nang Abraham's bosom, and ang natitira na lang sa Hades is yung hell or Gehenna. So sa hell, which is yun na lang yung part na natitira sa Hades, dun pinaparusahan yung mga makasalanan. All the sinners were being brought there to be tormented. So papaano related ang video na ito sa purgatory? The proof of this video is to point to non-Catholics that they are wrong to say that God cannot create purgatory. He can't create purgatory and did create purgatory because God is able to create places as proven in this video. He has created the heavens, the earth, and the abode of the dead. So if God can create those places, dapat it's not a question of whether God can or cannot create purgatory because He can. Because for God, nothing is impossible. God created a place for the purification of souls that are bound to heaven, which we Catholics call purgatory. So, yung purgatory is ginawa ng Diyos para sa mga kaluluwang itinadhanang umakyat sa langit, kasi sa purgatory, lilinisin yung kaluluwa na yun ng kanyang mga kasalanan. So, stay tuned lang kayo guys, and hopefully tumaas yung interest nyo about sa topic ng purgatory, because in my next video, ito na yung magiging focus ng topic ko. So, ito na yung magiging focus ng usapan natin. So, hopefully guys, sana nag-enjoy kayo sa video na ito, and kahit papaano ay nagandahan kayo sa mga teachings sa loob ng Catholic Church. And if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell para ma-update kayo ng mga future episodes. Like this video, share this video as well with your friends para makita rin nila kung gaano kaganda yung teaching sa loob ng Catholic Church. And drop a comment na rin para makita ko kung ano yung mga nag-reaction nyo sa presentation ko. Kung maganda ba or hindi, kung informative ba or not. Please make time to drop a comment. And once again, I'm Terrence, and this is Canada A. Bye! So, nakastay tune ka pa sa video na to. Hopefully, nandito ka pa next week, or I don't know, probably next week para sa second part ng video. And para hindi mo makalimutan yon, don't forget to subscribe here and watch other videos here, I think. And some playlist over here. So subscribe, watch video, playlist. Bye!